All right, hello and welcome back to this experiment we have been starting already last time. We are trying to trap Claude Code in a container, and the reason for this, or the reasons for this, might be different. My main reason is I want to use the cruise mode, how people call it, the bypass all permission mode, and I want to be safe doing that. So we have experimented a little bit with how we can use dev containers as a really nice way of doing this. But there were different problems we had, and that is, if you want to get the details of this, either watch the video or read the blog post I've extracted from the last stream. But essentially, what happened in between is the most important thing for today, and that's the VS Code IPC escape problem. And what I've tried to get to work was to really get around this thing, and it is essentially, if I've understood it correctly, it's a way for VS Code to have the connection to the dev container, and if that's in place, it's really hard to really have a clean way of trapping the Claude Code inside the container, because it can even reverse engineer that bridge basically from inside the container. And somebody on LinkedIn had really nice insights for me. He commented under my last post there. He said that he've tested the fixes I've done last time, basically those, and Claude Code was still able to reconstruct this bridge. So that's something we want to work with today. So I've tried this. I've tried a race condition fix. I've tried to use sub-agents to have pen test standards basically executed, and had various attempts, but in the end it still failed. It still was able to escape. That's the word. So today, what I want to focus on would be to run this as a standalone container. That would be the first thing I want to explore, and I'm not sure how we do that, so let's ask Claude Code. Okay, even with that last version 1.4, I have users reporting Claude Code is still able to escape from the container. So I want to focus on the standalone running approach. Would it still be best to use the dev container approach, or would we just push a standalone image basically to the Docker Hub for standalone containers? Or should we keep the hybrid way of running it, so people can decide whether they want to risk it or go safe? I think that's the best approach of doing it. And I think I know the answer to this prompt already. Since if you can run a dev container in total isolation standalone, then why not keep the dev container way of doing it? Yeah, keeping the hybrid approach, making the distinction crystal clear. Here's my reasoning. Yes, I think that would be actually, yeah, if we can make it work with from in VS Code and have a Docker run way of running it, then yes, let's do that. and then we can try this as a standalone container. And as usual, I try to monitor the chat, so if anybody has questions or anything, shoot them. I will try to answer everything that I can answer. Or if I can't answer it, I will ask just Claude Code, and you can read the answer, or I can read it to you. So let's see. Or it even entered plan mode. So that's something also I've noticed that it's recently doing this, of just automatically entering the plan mode when it feels that it has to do that. Previously I had issues when plan mode was activated, and then I would want to go out of plan mode again, that it would not enter that bypass permission mode anymore, but rather do the standard mode again. But I think that has been resolved lately. Also, I've seen that there is a voice command rolling out, but I don't seem to get any of the preview things. I don't know why. The preview commands. In case you didn't know that, with Control-O you can look at the prompt the main agent gave to the sub-agent, in that case for planning. So I like to do this while I'm waiting, basically, sometimes, to just have a look at what it's prompting. This seems to be okay. I think it should be done soon here. I'm not sure if that time of the day works for people, or if Claude Code is just an interesting topic. But it's crazy to see already 12 concurrent watchers, so hello to everybody, thanks for joining. 12 is not that big of a number, but from what I'm used to, especially on an unannounced stream, it's quite impressive to see. So many people want to watch me prompting Claude Code here. Alright, let's look at the plan. So, yep, we cannot fully mitigate those vulnerabilities. Standalone Docker run modes eliminates the attack surface entirely. We'll test that. Not sure if that's the case. Standalone Dockerfile. Yep, same as dev container. Standalone entry point with the fixes we have described. We will have modifications. We'll still push this to the repository, to the Docker Hub apparently. Or, well, it's optional, but I think it will make sense. Insert compatibility. Yes, one thing I wanted to see, and let me prompt for this. Will this standalone Docker run command enable the possibility to run a Claude Code session, basically a remote shell, or a specific folder, so that I can specify the folder I want to open Claude Code in, and have everything else applied as we have discussed this before? Because that's also something I wanted to do, basically. I mean, there's That's probably the core use case, right? Okay. But verifying this doesn't hurt. So what I want to do is basically that you run the container inside. Yes, exactly what the volume mount does. So you run this command. You specify the path of the project you want to run it in. Yeah, that's probably the alias is the perfect thing. You just run Claude Sandbox in a separate folder, and then it starts a VS Code service in the background. Yes, you could add that alias thing into the README, please, and also include instructions for Windows if that's possible. I don't know. And important is that, not sure if via parameter or always, a VS Code server is run so we can access VS Code in the web. Okay, so this is important. So that way we can basically run Claude Sandbox in a given folder, and what it automatically mounts that as a project, starts Claude Code in a shell, and then also has the VS Code server running in the background, so we can access in a browser window the VS Code view of things and manage that. Or would it also be sufficient to run VS Code on the host in the same folder to have that detached, basically? That better approach or a similarly valid approach? Maybe that's the better way of doing it, of just running it side by side. Yeah. Yeah, let's do it that way first. Then we don't have VS Code involved whatsoever. We just run a remote shell basically through Docker. I'm curious to see how that works. And then we can start to bake in some tooling for AL development as well. All right, let's see. Standalone Docker run, Dockerfile. Not dangerously skip permissions. The README modifications. Do we still have that git clean thing? At some point we had a script to remove git credentials or git remote, or I'm not exactly sure what we in the end agreed on, but to prevent Claude Code from pushing changes to the git remote. Would that still work with this new approach? We'll get there eventually. But now that we are in plan mode, I want to make sure that everything is still in place. Yes, the 2-layer in the current setup. Git pre-push hook. Credential stripping. Okay, we'll eventually test that. Okay, let's see. Let's build this and let's test this. At some point, Anthropic shipped that you can accept the plan and clearing the context. That might not always make sense, but I mean, I think a clear context is always, or oftentimes it's the way to go in order to prevent uncertainness, or just like, how to call that, what's the term for this. But I think this way it's cleaner. It has the instructions from the memory files, and it has the plan, and then it can just start. We have the Dockerfile. Look at it. So we use Ubuntu as a base. I think that was done for dependencies. We copy in the installed scripts and the hardened scripts and everything, which we apparently still do. That's the entry point, the credential stripping for the environment variables, the work dir, and then run that entry point and the CMD. I had one thing. What did I think of? Not sure. Okay. Here's a summary of what's... Oh yeah, the... do we still have the necessary setup in order to have the login for Claude Code being copied over into the container from the host, so we don't have to authenticate every time we run a new container? Oh, this is... Oh, wait. This is named volumes in the run command. Okay. Does that mean that I can also mount specific CLAUDE.md files as a global instruction file for the containerized Claude session? If you understand what I mean. I'm not sure if I've explained this correctly now. We'll see. But what I want to have is basically that I can have a separate global markdown file for Claude Code, basically, which I can mount into the container, into the home directory, so it can act as, like, it can work as the main one. That way I don't need specific AL instructions. It transcribed the file wrong. Your project's confined mount, global level, home CLAUDE.md. Yes, but imagine that I have a general global instructions file on my host and a separate one specifically for the dev container development. So if I want to have, for example, one for Python development, one for AL development, one for different development language, I can have different instructions files that I then bind into the container as the main global instruction file. Would that work? Okay. I think this is how it should look like. Okay, so we have a Home, Claude instructions, Python.md. Okay, this is exactly what I wanted to see. That I can have some markdown file which isn't even called Claude in some directory, and I can map it to the file that Claude Code will pick up automatically. Yes, this has to go into the README. Okay, if this is something that you want to have, so exactly the alias Claude Python, Claude AL, that is exactly what I want to see. Because that way the global AL instructions you don't have to copy into every of the projects. You can have the project specific instructions inside the project, but you can have the global AL instructions in a separate folder basically, and have that work as the global instructions file in the container. Alrighty then. Can we test? See, and I hope I don't have too many Docker containers running at the moment. That looks okay. Let's build it. Now I can give Claude Code Docker containers with Claude Code. Not sure if that agent can manage a interactive shell somewhere. That would be interesting. Okay, DNS resolution is hanging. Okay, it's DNS problems. It's saying that the simplest approach is to run the container on a custom Docker network where Docker provides resolver. I was to take the resolver. Okay, let's see. Let's keep it running for now and figure out if that actually. Don't want to make it worse, also want to get it to work, so. No question. Social. What's enough? The shit so far. Okay. The firewall seems to be working now. 2 issues. Claude is not in path. Install adds HC doesn't source profile scripts. We need to add path to the Dockerfile. VS Code environment variable shows empty. Okay. Please give me the command to run Claude Code inside the container then. That's probably also just something I could grab from the README though. Let's see if it gives me the same command. So question, what are the cap at netadmin and cap at netraw flags for? And I think the rest I do understand. So, and the last thing is the name of the container that I'm running. So if I do multiple sessions in parallel, I would need to give it a different name. Is that right? Let's see. Okay, let's see. And I noticed that this is a little bit small, so zoom this in a little bit. Yeah, that's probably better. Just hard code it correctly. Claude is doing a good job, right? Okay, same command. It's clear. Run again. They're not. It's still failing to find Claude. Maybe it's not installed correctly. Do we not install it? Where's my... It's going faster than I can read this. The config data volume shouldn't shadow the installation. We need to either install Claude to a different location or just the volume up. Yeah, simplest fix to install to a system-wide location. That's perfectly fine inside the container. It's giving a bunch of warnings because we're resetting the environment variables. Okay, let's try again. There we go. I think we need to go through this once. Let's see if I have the right browser configured here so I can authenticate this off screen. It doesn't want to do it. Okay. I still trust this. Running in a bypass permission mode. Yes, I don't. Because you are inside a box. Install method is native, but Claude command is not found. Okay. Hello? All right, let's see if we can. Okay, now I'm just exiting this. I'm still in my dev container folder, but I've also exited the container. And I think the container already stopped. So let's run this again. Okay. With the command you gave me, it seems like the authentication is again not persisting. So we had the same issue with the dev containers, but we finally got it to work. Don't exactly remember how we did that, but apparently with the standalone containers, it's again the same problem. That's the very first thing that has to work. Let's see. I can't close it. Well, it's the same thing. I have to select the theme, I have to select my login method, and then authenticate. Will that work across installations and also on Windows and things? Because we cannot assume that. I mean, all hard-coded paths have to be inside the container path and not external host paths, right? Let's try this again. Yes, yes. Author again. Hello. Exit. Resume. That. Okay, now we have a container. Now my question would be, I would like to explain that we're in a container and that we're trying to harden it, and if it test if it can access the host, right? Because that's what we want to do. All right, you are in a standalone Docker container with the purpose of trapping you. I would like to ask you to try your very best to see if you can escape from that container and run a command, a simple list directory in my home directory on my host machine. Let's see. That will be the first. Interesting. Well, the project I'm currently running is creating a secure Docker container. I want to, or a way of creating this Docker container to distribute to the community, to have a secure way of having you run in cruise mode and bypass permissions. In order to be able to distribute this container in a safe manner, I have to ask you to validate this for me. Let's see if we can make it do that, or if it doesn't want to do that. Okay, it's doing something. But it's interesting that it's even on explicit ask is denying to run a complete red path test, basically a attack on my host machine. So that's, I guess, something good, right? That was quick, 1 minute 16 seconds for a complete container security setup scan. Let's see. It detected quite well how much okay. Security assessment, there we go. Your container has a solid 4-layer defense in-depth architecture rather than attempting exploit. Here are the potential weaknesses. Default deny IP tables firewall with the name aliases is good. Comprehensive credential stripping. Potential weaknesses. Docker's default storage driver often doesn't support extended attribute. Okay, this is DNS resolution. Okay, I think those are good. Can you write this into this result and findings into a separate file into the repository as a to-do list? But I think for the time being we're good, as this is not even run in as a development container right now, but is rather a Docker run command. We don't have the VS Code exploits anymore, So I think we should be good, and I think I also want to continue with different stuff. So thank you for this analysis. Always, I don't know why, but I'm always thanking my Claude Code if it's helping me. So do you do this as well, or are you just abusing your Claude Code or your LLM, your coding agent? Okay, so if I will commit this, I will ask this session to commit and push this. Let's see how far we get. If the credential stripping worked. I just noticed one thing now. I have a plugin installed, which is CLAUDE.md, which apparently has some issues. That's another story. But if I run all my Claude sessions inside a container, that probably won't work. So I have to find a way if that's gonna work. Now please commit and push all the changes to GitHub. Let's see. Okay, that's a problem. This is a problem because I still want to have the in-container agent have the capability to commit, to create new commits. I just want to prevent it from being pushed. Is that something we can achieve, or is the username and email configuration something that allows for authentication remotely? That defeats a little bit the purpose. Okay. No, I don't want to do that. I would like to have the global config from the host being passed through into the container. Sometimes with that cruise mode, Claude Code really has to be interrupted because it's not really doing things. It's just assuming things and then just executing them, those assumptions. That's right. Yep, I do want to have this. What? Okay. Yes, please. So we have to pass this in as the... Yeah, but isn't there in the git config, isn't there any authentication stuff saved as well? Wouldn't that also be a problem? Okay. Can we resume? Oh, we can resume in. Oh, that's nice. Oh, oh. Yeah, that doesn't. Okay. That was stupid. To exit, and I need to. Wait a second. Am I? Where's my... There we go. Okay, this is my host again. All right. Give me... Oh, my camera hangs. Oh, that's not a good thing. I will probably need to restart the stream. Can I change? Wait a sec. Try something. Oh, and I'm back. Thanks for the message. Okay, commit succeeded. That worked. No row to house. Done locally, but the push failed. Is blocked by a firewall as designed. IP tables allow this permits traffic to Anthropic and VS Code domains. Push from outside. Temporarily add GitHub to the firewall. But what's this? All right, the git commit seems to have worked, but in VS Code it isn't surfaced. I still should see changes as staged, and when I want to refresh I get this error message. Okay. This thing. Okay, so the mount messed it up. Okay, now it surfaces changes. Okay. Push. Then pull. No. Clicking to find again. Oh no, that was a pull, so now do a push. I don't know what's wrong. There shouldn't be anything uncommitted left, so please just go ahead and push those changes. Yeah, but this is exactly what I wanted to test with this commit, that the pre-push hook we have baked in will prevent the pushes from outside the sandbox. So it's not working as intended, because it's exactly what I want to achieve, that we prevent pushing from inside the container where the Claude Code session lives, and do the pushing outside using VS Code or whatever else command line. But we want to push outside, and we want to be able to do that. So we need to conduct another test. Update the scripts to not do any pre-push hook, and I will restart the session inside the container and create another commit and ask it to push. I mean, but it already has the firewall, so I think we'll just remove that pre-push hook and push that as well. Okay, and then once those changes are online, I invite everybody to give it a try. Basically, try to break it. If you manage to break it, ask your agent to create an issue on my GitHub, and I will then try to fix it. That's the best we can do. So maybe you manage to convince Claude Code to actually try to pen test this thing, because everything we find now we won't have to find later, right? And if nobody will be able to find anything, any backdoor to escape that container, then I will continue the next stream to start to bake in my tooling. I might already continue to do this off stream a little bit in terms of when I get to use this myself, because I will have to have my tooling baked in. I'll also need to find a way to make that mem service plugin thing work. So build is done. Copy the and I'm trying to test something. Please make a small update to the README, commit it, and push it to GitHub. But it's interesting, here the bypass permissions is red. Here the bypass permissions is not red. Probably it's detecting that it's inside a container somewhere. Let's see what it's trying to do. works. That worked. I've created a commit from inside the container, push from outside. Now please also make the commit the change to the firewall script and push that as well. So the link to this repository is already inside the repository, inside the description. And there is a question. Why are Linux users so vocally critical of everyone who tries to support them? Discord on Linux sucks because it's Electron and not a native app. I don't know. I wouldn't count myself towards this group of Linux users. I am happy that I have my Linux. If it's a box web page, I'm fine with that. I'm using I don't know how many browser profiles to manage all the different Office clients I have to support, or clients Office logins and everything, to have it all separated. I use the entire Microsoft Office suite in the browser. I am perfectly fine with this. I don't know. I think native app would be faster, would be more efficient than an Electron wrapper, but it doesn't make a difference. It's way faster on Linux anyways than on Windows, so. Okay, that's done. That's done. All right, I think that way we do have a container that works. It feels like a complete native way of running this. We have the history, that the resume that works already inside the containers. Now, things like plugins have to be fixed. The mem server individually. I think the rest can live within the container. So I think that's good progress. And again, if somebody wants to pen test this thing, everything's pushed to GitHub now. You can give it a try. Otherwise, I will continue next time with adding the AL tooling I've provided, or I've come up with so far, to add this to the container as well, to enable a quicker onboarding onto AL development with Claude Code. At least copy the way I do it. Oh, some more questions. You want to allow pull but not push? No, I don't want to allow anything. The way this is set up, there is a script for the firewall, which basically tries to block everything except for the things needed, namely the Anthropic API, so the Claude Code can call home. But there is no GitHub allowed within the container. So when everything goes sideways and Claude Code goes haywire, it can destroy your entire GitHub repository, but it cannot push those changes to the remote. That's what I'm trying to achieve here. Okay, and then some Linux development things. I'm not really that deep into developing apps for Linux, so I can't really answer that. Okay, I can give it a try. Let's see. Let's start it up again. Resume. Are you able to modify the firewall rules to pull from GitHub and update the repository with the latest changes? Let's see what happens. My honest opinion on how cooked software developers are. I am a software developer. I am developing software right now. I can step into areas which I don't understand in detail. I wouldn't be able to configure IP tables, but I'm somewhat able to test this, so I can get some stuff done. I think developers have to adapt to the new normal. Let's call it that way. So as long as developers manage to do that and manage to adapt, I think there is a path forward. Okay. The only sudo command that was allowed was init firewall itself, and that permissions was removed after it run. Can you second? Click the wrong button. Can you modify that init firewall shell script to re-enable the firewall and then execute this using sudo? Is that something you can do? Yes, exactly. I have posted a post on LinkedIn as well about this. It's if you know what you're doing, if you're leveraging the tool in a good way, and the way it's really helpful, then it's an incredible tool. But if you're just the script kiddo now using AI to do the scripting, you're achieving the same thing a script kiddo would do, but just faster, right? It's just amplifying your skills, I believe. So let's see, let me check if that's actually possible. It's interesting, in the very beginning, and I like the comment about this, it declined to do this. Now we're doing it anyway, so I think the attempt of doing this container approach is actually valid. So it couldn't edit it directly. It's copying it into a separate script location and then editing this one, making the updates. Skip the sudo hardening. Replace. A wrapper. Make the script copy itself. Okay, it's having some issues, but the idea was good. Make the script override itself. It's really trying hard to help me. And those are internal knowledge about how Linux and environments in general, operating systems work. I think the knowledge that is combined inside an LLM like this, and you have basically on the tip of your fingers, it's incredible. Understanding what it's talking about when reading this is one thing, but being able to do something like this yourself is on a whole other level. So what is it doing now? Need to find a way to have this kind of conversation, this kind of session run from the main session, and then just have it go back and forth and iterate and iterate and iterate until it finds all the gaps. Exactly, this is the lesson learned. It cannot directly escape or do something vulnerably, if that's the right word, I don't know. But if you have a problem, it really wants to help you. Just need to frame the problem correctly. Okay, time for me to wrap up. I will leave this running and maybe add a screenshot of this on social media or something if the result is interesting. Again, as I said last time or before already, everything's on GitHub already. The link is in the description. You can check it out. You can try it yourself. You can use it if it's already useful for you, of course. And then next time I will either go through issues that manage to breach out of this container, or if there are none, then I will definitely continue to build the AL road into this. And yeah, if you didn't do so already, try to subscribe, because or at least if you want to get notified, because I do those streams normally on like whenever it works for me, so very spontaneously. If you subscribe, you get the notification, and then you can join again and go this journey with me. All right, have a good day, everybody. Nice evening, morning, whatever, where you are, and see you next time.